Hey guys, Maggie here. As you can tell by my face, I am freaking sweaty from that movement flow that I just did and that you guys are about to do. So I'm excited for you to do it. I just wanted to give you a little bit of an explanation as to what a movement flow is and why it's beneficial. So a movement flow is mixing strength with flexibility and mobility in one continuous sequence. So when you're doing a movement flow, you're not only focusing on working your muscles, but you're working on stretching your muscles as well as your breathing and how you can breathe through different movements. So focus on your breathing, do every pose the best you can. You guys got this. Thanks for being part of my team. I'm so grateful for all of you. Thanks. Okay, so we're gonna start off with cat-cow. Now with cat-cow, the biggest thing to focus on is just warming up that center of your body. So you're warming up your lower back, your core, and so you're keeping your knees under your hips and your wrists under your shoulders. So really just warming up all those muscles that we're going to use in this flow while also getting a good stretch in your back. So once we're done with that, we're going to get into a flat tabletop. So make sure your back's flat. You're going to curl your toes under and lift your knees just barely above the floor. We're engaging our core here. And then we're going to lift opposite hand, opposite leg, just barely above the ground, keeping that flat back the whole time. Just really pushing our core and leaning on that plant foot. When you've done that 2 times on each side, so 4 times total, we're going to push our hips back to our heels. We're going to push that back into those thighs and just really get a good stretch at the top of our back. Keep those knees up and toes curled. Once we do that, we're going to go up to downward dog, down to upward dog, and then we're going to push back to that same position the same way we came. So you're going to go up and down into that position. You're going to repeat that 5 times. Once you're finished with those 5 rounds, I'm going to meet you in downward dog. When you're in downward dog, really focus on pushing those hips up, pushing that head through those shoulders, and tucking that belly button into your pelvis. Good. Just keep a good movement. Excuse my elbows, they're weirdly shaped, so just ignore that. But now we're going to push into a plank from that down dog, a high plank, and then we're going to bend the right knee into the right elbow. And you're going to do the same thing on the left side. Keeping that plank, keeping that back flat. The only movement I want to see here is that knee bending into that elbow. When you're finished with your knee taps, we're going to go from downward dog into a high plank. We're going to push down halfway, like half of a push-up, and then we're going to flip to up dog. So we're going to get a good stretch looking up, and then we're going to go back to child's pose. With child's pose, your knees are wide and your toes are touching. You're reaching your arms as far as you can, reaching your tailbone back, and then putting your head down, just getting a good long stretch for that upper body, and then opening those hips up at the same time. Coming out of the child's pose, you're going to go up on your fingertips, bring your shoulders and hips forward, get back into that tabletop position that we started at. So your knees are under your hips, your wrists are under your shoulders, and we're going to go into bird dog. So you're going to reach opposite arm, opposite foot, out, bring it back in under your body, and then do the same thing on the other side. Here we're focusing on keeping the balance, keeping the core tight, and making sure we're not arching the back when we reach our arms out wide. Do 5 of these on each side. When you've done 5 bird dogs on either side, we're going to go into that same figure 4 position that we were before. So we're going to curl our toes, lift our knees just barely off the ground, push back, and then we're going to hop into a squat. We're going to hold it at the bottom of a squat. You should be feeling a stretch in your hips and your back. Keep that chest up Good. We're going to push our arms out and curl our head under. And then we're going to come up on our toes and stretch our arms wide. This is called ape pose. So we're going in from seated ape with the heels down, head down, palms facing out. And then we're going to go up to the standing ape pose, which is heels up. We're opening the chest as opposed to keeping it closed off on that lower position. So we're really getting opposing muscles here. We're repeating this flow for 5 times through. So keep going from the down position to the up position for 5 times. Don't forget to breathe. Keep breathing. You get to your last pose at the bottom, you're going to drive those heels into the floor and push up to sun salutation. So put those arms overhead and back down to forward fold. So we're folding our body with a slight bend in our knees. Should feel like a nice break from being in that lower position. So really get that stretch and then come back up and back down for forward fold. And then we're going to come to a halfway lift, flat back, up again, and down to forward fold. Good. Up for a halfway lift, flat back, bringing those feet together. And then we're going to bend for chair pose. So in chair pose, we're keeping our knees forward. Good. And now we're going to do heel lifts in the chair pose. So we're going lifting heels, going back to that chair pose, keeping our hips and our knees in line, and just trying to keep that balance in those heel lifts. You should be feeling this. We'll do this for 10 rounds. So 10 heel lifts. Keep breathing through it. You guys got this. When you're finished with your chair pose heel lifts, we're going to go back down to forward fold, and then we're going to go back up to halfway lift. Keep that flat back, head and back in line, and then you're going to go back down, bring your left foot forward, drop your back leg, and then you're going to do the world's greatest stretch. So you're just twisting up and then twisting under, keeping that back in a neutral position. Really driving through that back heel is really going to help you get a good stretch here. So you're going to do that for a few rounds. From here, you're going to go back to high plank, down, back to upward dog, and then push back into downward dog again. Hold it here, get a good stretch. We're going to hop back to forward fold. And then we're going to step that opposite foot in the same world's greatest stretch. So stretching up, driving through that back heel, keeping a neutral back, and just really feeling that stretch in the inner thighs as well as the core and the back. From here, you're just going to step that back leg up, and then you're going to go into a forward fold. Up to a halfway lift, down to a forward fold. Grab opposite arms and just shake it out, just let it out. Feel that opposing energy. Good. Jump back to a high plank, down to upward dog, and then back to child's pose, knees wide, toes touching. From here, after you've taken a few breaths and you can feel your heart rate going down, we're going to move our hands, walk our hands out to the left side. We're going to put our fingertips up on our right hand to get a really good stretch along that whole right side body. So lifting those fingertips up, you should really, really feel this. Walk it back to the center and then do the same thing on the other side. Now putting your left fingertips on the mat. Good, just keep breathing, keep feeling your heart rate go down from that heat you built through the flow. We're going to come back up to a seated position. From seated, we're going to go into boat to low boat pose. So we're bending our knees into our torso, and then we're straightening our legs out while also hinging our back. So the key here is to keep your back straight and have your legs do all the work. If you're going far enough that you feel like your back is rounding, lay off a little bit, and you don't need to straighten your legs all the way. You can do the same thing with bent legs and it will feel the exact same. Once you're done here, for 10, you're gonna bring your knees into your chest and just give yourself a nice hug. Massage your lower back by going side to side. And then we're gonna extend one leg and then bend the other leg across for a stretch. Look over to the opposite side, just to get that really good stretch in that back. We've done a lot with our backs today in our core, so it's really good to get opposing stretching to just really even out all the movement that we've done today. And we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Just keep your breathing catching up to all the things we did to raise our heart rate today. And then from here, you're going to bring your knees into your chest and rock up and down a few times to just get a good massage all the way up your spine. And then we're going to come up to seated when you're done. Good, come up to seated. And then we're gonna just take a few breaths here, and we're gonna do seated cat-cow. So we started with the cat-cow where we round our back and then arch our spine. We're doing that here, but we're just seated. After a couple rounds of the seated cat-cow, we're gonna move our right hand to our left knee and then twist back, looking back at the left hand. Just getting a nice twist. And we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Keep breathing. Just relax, let it out, let that heart rate go down. When you're finished with that twist, just come to center and take a couple more breaths to end this movement flow. I'm so grateful that you guys joined me today. I hope you enjoyed it. Great job, and keep up the good work.